right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's time for Auto Repair with Personal Care. Matt Gibbs is here. He is the owner of Sunrise Automotive. He's a mechanic, an automobile technician, and all the above. And he is here to answer your questions. If you have a question about your car or somebody else's car, feel free to call. The number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. And, of course, you can bring your car to Sunrise Automotive at 1800 Northwest 10th Street. That's probably the best way to get it fixed. Just bring it over there. That's kind of my way of doing everything. Good morning, Matt. How you doing?
How you doing, Larry?
So I thought of you on Saturday. Yeah. In fact, Robin and Ronnie thought of you, too, on Saturday.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
They pulled it because Robin and I rehearse the music on Saturday. So sometimes we do it at her place and sometimes at mine. So Ronnie, her husband, drove into my driveway and they saw me cleaning out my car.
Oh, my goodness.
It's what they said. They said, "What's going on? You got a date? What's going on?" No, just thinking about something Matt said. Why? What'd Matt say? Well, he does, detailing now at his shop, and he said it would take a lot for your car. So I thought I'd give an edge before I bring it in to be detailed. I'd get at least, the Burger King paper out of there.
and my detailer would really appreciate that.
Do you know what's funny though? I'm not exaggerating. Maybe 20 pounds worth of stuff was in that bag. So I have better gas mileage now, right?
Yes, you do.
I moved 20 pounds out of there. So you still do detailing, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Now, everything will get cleaned, every little nook and cranny?
Every little nook and cranny.
That's got to be a pain for that guy who does that. Does he have, a Q-tip?
They really do a wonderful job.
Do they have special tools, or is it literally...
Well, they have special brushes, and they use air hoses, and
really?
They use, all kinds of different types of chemicals, different waxes for different color cars.
Oh, they do the outside, too?
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking detailing was only inside.
No, they'll do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'll look at it, and then you'll treat your car nice for a little while.
Can you talk money? How much is it?
Probably about $150.
And would it have been more had I not cleaned it out?
Yeah, it probably would. I mean, they'll even renew your headlights if you want the headlights renewed.
I need that. I really don't think my lights are shining properly anymore.
Yeah, because they get all clouded up and
so why does that happen? That never happened in the old cars.
Well, the old cars, they were made out of glass. Now they're made out of plastic.
Is there a reason why we can't make them out of glass anymore?
Cost.
It costs more.
Costs way
glass.
More. Yeah. So he I don't know exactly how he does it, but he makes them come back to life, and it lasts for a while, But
the headlights? Yeah, it'll probably last a long time.
Yeah.
Well, mine's been 6 or 7. What is my car? 2005. So that's 7, 8 years old already, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing what he can do with
how time flies.
Yeah. How time flies.
And it seems to be working okay. I need to come in for an oil change, and I guess I'll just have you look everything over.
Yep, we'll give it a good check-in.
Well, anyway, so if your ears were burning, we were talking about you.
My ears are constantly burning.
People always talking about you, right?
Always.
Yeah. How's your car?
We don't want to talk about my car.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those? The shoemaker's shoes?
Well... My car's got a couple little issues, and I just don't have time to fix. Now, my wife's car, we always find a time to take care of my wife's car. but my car...
So what would happen if you just bring it in? I mean, you got mechanics there.
I know, but, then we got so much going on.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'd rather call the tow truck for me than have to call make somebody wait.
So can you tell that something's getting in your world? Can you tell like sooner than I'd be able to tell that something's getting ready to go?
Yes. A lot of times I can.
Is it your ear? Are you hearing it? What is it?
Ears, smell, feel. It's funny because I don't know. It's weird, and I don't want to sound like some kind of loony kind of guy, but I can smell Freon. Like a car come in, my AC's not blowing hot. I put Freon in a car. I can smell it.
Really?
And I'll know that there's a leak. And if the evaporator's leaking, I really pick that up really good because I can smell Freon in the car. and people pull in and it's overheating, I can smell the coolant. I can feel the mist.
I think I can smell coolant.
It puts out a funny
Sort
odor.
of. I think I know what that smells like. I don't know what Freon smells like.
Yeah, Freon, oil, transmission fluid.
Oil, I know. It's not a good smell. Not that it's not a good smell. It's just that it means trouble.
It could mean trouble.
Yeah.
But cars come in, especially today with all the computers, and they're not running right. And they have a miss, or they're skipping, or however you want to say it. I have a very, very good feel for these things. I'll tell you, in driveline vibrations, U-joints going bad, front CV axles going bad, hub bearings going bad. I can feel them. I can feel them and I can hear them. And
so could you feel it in a car that you weren't driving all the time?
That's better.
That's better.
Yeah, because see, like if it's your car and you drive it, and there's an issue starting to develop, it's kind of okay. It's kind of like you ever seen a nephew, a niece, or something, and you saw them when they were a little kid, and
right?
And here it is, a couple of years later, you see them again, and you're like, oh my God, did you grow?
Right.
But mom and dad, they saw them grow the whole time,
a little bit at a time.
So with me, it's a lot of times it's better if I go drive your car. I can pick up things that you've just gotten used to, that you've just learned to adapt to.
So does that happen for you? You drive in a family member's car, or maybe you're not driving it, maybe. And do you have to drive it to really feel it, or can you be a passenger and feel it?
No, I need to drive it. I don't know why.
I wonder why.
I just have to drive. I'll give you, for instance, I had one of my customers come in for an oil change, and she brought it was a Chevy Tahoe. She brought it in. We changed her oil. And she asked me, said, would you drive it just to make sure it drives okay to you?
Okay.
Let's take the caller now.
All right, let's take a go. I thought there was more to that sentence. Good morning. You're on the air with Matt.
That'd have been pretty good. Say, with a computer, are those fixable, or do you just basically just put a new one in?
A lot of them, it depends on what kind of car it is.
Yeah.
There's actually a company that we use out of Miami.
Okay.
And some of the American cars, the computers are not outrageously priced, so a lot of times we'll get them from the dealer kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if it's some of the foreign cars, they're so much money.
Yeah.
We'll send them out to this company in Miami, and then they rebuild them.
Oh, okay.
And then they send them back, and it's a lot. It takes a little bit more time for the customer.
Yeah.
But I always give the customer the option. I could have you a computer tomorrow, and it's X amount of dollars, and if you could wait a couple days, I could save you this much money. 90% of the time, the customer's like, I'll take the savings and the money.
Yeah.
So, but the option is there. Either way, I try to send them out as much as I can, just to save the people money.
Yeah, on the American car computers, are we basically ballpark figure talking under $1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And okay, well that ain't so bad then. Usually, what is the lifetime of a computer?
That's like that. When it comes to electrical components, it's kind of like saying, if you go to Lowe's tonight and buy a new bulb and put in your porch, how long is it going to last? Yeah. Well, you may buy 5 bulbs, put them all in light fixtures all at the same time, and you're going to get 5 different lifespans out of a bulb.
Okay.
So anything to do with electronics, that's the best analogy, best way I can describe it.
Yeah. What is the hardest thing on a computer? Is like starting a car, or?
Say that again?
Well, what is the hardest thing on a computer? I mean, that bothers it the most, that would make it get old, wear it out. Is it like starting the car every time, or? No,
starting really is not going to have any kind of effect on it. I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, see, I got to know why things went bad.
Yeah.
So, like, if I know I have a bad computer in a car, a lot of times I'll take the computer apart to see if I see a transistor or diode or something, something that melted or.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, what we see is in a lot of cars, we see a lot of corrosion.
Oh, yeah. Would it be like, let's say a guy's got an older car, running pretty good and everything else, going to take a long trip. He wants to bring it in, you'll have it looked over. Can you look over the computer and say, okay, it's good to go, or something's wrong with it? To make you have like a testing machine or something like that?
I have several different scan tools that we use that are just more than just code readers that actually will communicate with your computer.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone comes in and they're going on a trip, I mean, I won't take the computer out and look inside of it or anything like that. If it's not broke, let's not mess with it.
Yeah.
And kind of thing. But we can run diagnostics on them to where we can see if there's any codes, any pending codes, any memory codes. If there's any kind of information that the computer wants me to see, then if we see something like that, then now we may go and say, okay, you do have or you have had a issue in this area. Would you like for us to check it out?
Right. Are they easy to get at? I mean, are they like under the hood or the dash, or
they're all over the place?
They're all over the place.
All over the place. And you get cars like Cadillacs and stuff. There's 14 of them in the car. They're under the seats. They're under the dash. They're out and under the hood. They're in the trunk. They're everywhere.
Oh my God! Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Bye now.
Yeah, that's it was an interesting question. He asked, what actually wears down a computer? I mean, I don't know what wears down these computers.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things.
It's one of them things.
So does time typically, is maybe time the best answer there?
I can't really give you the best answer.
See, I think the reason we want to know those things is because we think, well, what can we do to make it last longer? Like, if we stop doing this thing. Like if it's starting the car, well, you can't stop doing that.
Right. And, we know that we need to change our oil every 3,000-4,000 miles. Otherwise, we're going to have engine failure.
Right.
When it comes to computer,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Most of them are sealed, airtight. They're well protected. I mean, they are well protected.
Really? And you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on there with Matt.
Hey, good morning, Matt and Larry. This is just kind of an old school question. Not having a lot of vehicles that had the more modern computers, and if you had a dead battery, well, you just got your neighbor to come over with a set of jumper cables, threw the cables on it. Oops, got it backwards. No big deal. Let's go ahead and start it. Down the road you go. How sensitive are the modern cars to this sort of deal? And I'll go ahead and hang up and get the answer, and thanks.
Okay. Well, you don't want to hook your battery cables up backwards today. They do have safety devices on there. They have what we call maxi fuses. I mean, some of these cars have fuses that are 175 amps, 50 amps, to try to protect the circuit.
Right.
But you don't ever want to hook your battery cable up backwards. And as far as what was the other part of the question? We were.
I don't know.
I just drew a complete
I drew a
blank.
blank too because I went to the next call. But you know what? Just in response to that, I cringe when somebody says, "Do you have jumper cables?" Yes, I'm fine at this point. And I drive my car up to their car, and they're getting ready to use them. I said, "Let me put them on," just because. I mean, you're jumping off of my car. I'm going to put them on.
Oh, here's the other part to the question. I do want to stress this on a lot of cars, and I'm just going to pick on Chrysler cars right now. Chrysler, you have your alternator that keeps your battery charged. On Chrysler, the voltage regulator is built inside the actual PCM, the actual computer of the car. Okay, so if you have a Chrysler product and the battery's dead, do not just hook up the battery cables and try to start it right away. Let it charge up for a few minutes before you go and try to start the car. And the reason is, if your battery's dead and you just put the jumper cables on, you go start it, you're making that computer tell the alternator to charge at full boat. Okay? And I have seen over the years, where Chrysler, the computer itself, it will smoke the computer because it's just putting out so much amperage, so much voltage that it hurts the actual computer itself.
Really?
And now you're going to spend hundreds of dollars because your battery went dead.
Did they label it that way so that when you're jumping, like on the battery itself says, if you're jumping, make sure it runs 15 minutes?
No, because that the battery itself may go into 15 different kind of cars, and, it only pertains to this particular car. So they're not going to post it across the board. It's just something that I have learned, and I've learned the hard way. And, I just want to share that information.
My
with everybody
goodness,
else.
that's something everybody should know. All right, good morning. You're on the air with Matt.
My son was coming down from Georgia for a visit, had his vehicle loaded. It's kind of heavy. He's got a Dodge Journey 2011. And he had to apply his brakes kind of hard. There was an item that slid forward and hit the gear selector lever, knocked it into park. At the time, he was only doing about 35 miles an hour, but he said he heard a little grinding noise there. Put it back in gear, and of course, he had to come to a full stop before he could put it back into gear. But he pulled it in back into drive, pulled off the side of the road, and let it sit there, cranked it again, moved it. Everything seemed to be fine. That seems to have been fine since that time. My question is there some safety feature that is built in there to protect the transmission and all when something like that happens? I've seen it happen in the past where somebody's vehicle went into reverse and it actually started going backwards and they lost control of it. But this one just sort of did some grinding and came to a stop.
Was this a floor shifted car?
No.
Oh, it's a
But
column
he
shift?
had his vehicle loaded because he was bringing his wife and kids to a camp.
Okay.
And something just slid forward and hit the gear selector. It was up on the dash.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a freak thing because when you if it's up on the dash, it's a column shift. You know how you have to pull it towards you and then pull it down?
Yes.
Well, if it was in drive and he was going, and if it went up into neutral, and then in order to get it into reverse, it would have had to go up. It would have been pulled in and then up into reverse.
Yeah, well, it actually went into park.
Wow, that's kind of crazy right there. That's a freak thing. And the noise that he heard, there is what they call a parking pawl inside your transmission. When you put it in the park, there's actually it's just a metal device that clips into like a spline gear, and it locks everything up. And what'll happen is if you're actually moving and you put it in the park, well, the parking pawl, it'll be like almost like how the noise when you put an old card on your bicycle spokes, and you heard that tit tit tit. That's basically what's going to happen when he's driving down the road and he puts it in the park. It really shouldn't, other than the valve body being mechanically changed. Once the pressures and everything inside the transmission calm down, it shouldn't really hurt anything. You should be okay. Now, if he kept doing it over and over and over, you'll burn up the clutches in the transmission. But for an accident kind of thing, it's something that happened. It really shouldn't hurt anything. And as far as a safety device, the way that you shift from park to reverse to drive, that's why it's not just a straight line, that you got to pull it and push it and kind of move it around a little bit to get it in the different gears.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right,
Thanks
sir.
a bunch.
You're welcome.
And ultimately bring it down to the shop, right? It's another. Good morning. You're on the air with Matt.
Good morning, Matt, Larry,
Hey.
Robin, if she's still there. The previous caller, in my childhood, that's what we used rental cars for, to discover what would happen if you did this. We couldn't do it in our dad's car because he'd kill us, but the first time we got a rental car, hey, what happens if you're going down the road and you throw it in park?
Oh, no.
Not much. It just kind of makes a little ratcheting noise, like you said. But,
Yep.
my call today is because I have a 2003 Toyota Sienna, and it's throwing a code PO442, which is a small evap leak.
Yes, sir.
Now, I've replaced the valve by the carbon canister. I've replaced the fuel cap with an OEM canister, OEM cap, and it was off for a while, but about 2 tanks of gas, and it threw the same code again. And from a little online research I've done, this can be a very difficult problem to track down. My question to you is, do you have what somebody, another mechanic told me there's a smoke machine that puts a dense smoke into the evap system
Yes,
so you
sir.
can find these types of leaks?
Yes, sir. We have a smoke machine and a Toyota. To be honest with you, a Toyota is probably, Toyota and Honda are more difficult to diagnose than probably any other car out there.
Yeah, I looked at the diagram. Oh my God, it's a rat's maze. Of
it's crazy,
hoses
isn't it?
And valves and
You got solenoids, and you got vent solenoids and purge solenoids and vent valves and surge. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. And basically, what we do is we have to test, and we break your system down into like 3 different zones, and we start testing each zone. You know what I'm saying? We will test this zone A, and then we'll test zone B, and then it's a process of elimination, and we just work through the entire evap system, and we find out what's failing.
I see.
The other thing you need to understand too is that when you fill your gas tank up, your evap system is unfunctional. It doesn't function, and when you're below like a quarter of a tank of gas, it's non-functional. So you have to have more than a quarter and less than and about 3/4 of a tank in order for the evap system to even function.
I see. Okay. My other question is, this is a California spec car. I was wondering if it was more complex than the 49 state cars as far as the evap system.
Yes, sir. You're gonna make me cry on the air. No, it is. It is more complex. The whole EGR system is more complex. The evap system is more complex. It's it's something that just requires, you just go, you drink a Coke, have a smile, and get to work.
Yep. All right. Well, I imagine you just start off the top with diagnostics fees for looking at this particular car, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And let me ask you, said you did replace the charcoal canister?
No, I replaced the it's called the VSV valve, the valve, the solenoid down on the bottom. It didn't bench tested bad, so I thought, hallelujah, I found it.
Right.
Put it back together. It threw the code again. I got an OEM fuel cap. Said hallelujah. Threw the code again. So I'm just going further. But I know I need to look under the hood for broken, cracked tubes, and then there's 2 vacuum operated valves at the canister.
Right.
That are suspect.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, that's 90% of the time, 80% of the time, the problem is in the canister and the vent solenoid valve. That's a part of the canister.
Right, and I also learned online you can't buy those little solenoids separate. You have to buy the whole canister.
Exactly. Exactly. It comes as an assembly.
Great. Good news, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, love your show. Thank you very much.
So what do the manufacturers make different cars for California than the rest of the country? Mm-hmm. They really do.
Yeah, well, California has different emissions requirements.
Yeah. Well,
so therefore, the manufacturers have to do things different.
Oh, wow.
To make
Is it more expensive for them to do them?
Well, it's more expensive when you own one because there's more stuff on your car.
Okay. So I'm just curious why. I mean, wouldn't it be... And would it, I guess not wouldn't it, but would it make more sense for the manufacturer to just make them all with the standards that are the highest? Like if California is the highest, make them all like that.
Well, the government sure is trying to get them to do that. But, I would like to see that not happen.
Really? Because from a mechanical point of view, it's...
Not just a mechanical point of view, but from a performance point of view. There's a lot of different points of view on that. In California, I guess they have to do what they do out there, and for them to be able to breathe and stuff. It doesn't affect us the way it does in California, so why should we be penalized?
I gotcha. Because they've got that big valley.
Exactly.
And it really is mostly just Southern California that has that issue, right?
Yeah.
Not the whole state.
Yep, but it's a statewide mandate.
Right. Well, our pollution just blows across to Europe, and we're done with it, right?
That's right. We send it over to them.
Well, we are out of time, Matt. What is your phone number?
My phone number is 690-1993.
And call us if you need any information about Matt or his shop, or go online to WOCA.com, and you'll see that Robin always puts Matt's information on the guest list for AM Ocala Live every Monday. And I guess that's it. Go to his shop, 1800 Northwest 10th Street. That's where Sunrise Automotive is. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Larry.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Life's like a road that you travel on. There's one day here and the next day gone. Sometimes you've been, sometimes you stay.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. George Zimmerman's parents got kicked out of a Florida courtroom just before the jury was brought in for opening statements in his murder trial. The judge asked them to leave, citing a rule against spectators whose presence might be prejudicial. Edward Snowden is still out running the law. He didn't show up at the gate after booking a flight from Moscow to Cuba. Secretary of State John Kerry says it would be deeply troubling if Russia or Hong Kong let him get away. Doctors are trying to make former South African President Nelson Mandela as comfortable as possible